lever action television, TMP style here in YouTube. Here's the star of the show, the Browning BL22. This will be the Nutnfancy tabletop review finally on this gun. I have been shooting 22 lever action since 1970, by the way. That is no exaggeration. My dad in 1969 bought us an Ithaca single shot lever action. I've shown it before on Tabletop. Blonde wood, decent quality. Love that little Ithaca. I shot it a lot growing up. Looks like it should be a repeater. It's not. It's a single shot. Just has kind of a dropping loading gate on it. If I can find it, I'll roll in a picture. If not, just use your imagination or Google it. I love that gun. Shot it all the time. Creed Walton and I used to take it out to the gravel pits in Hampton, Virginia in about 1973, 1974 and go hunting bullfrogs around the gravel pit, back when you could do such things, right? The good old days. We'd kill bullfrogs, crows. Yeah, I was a little hunter back then. I would. I just basically shoot anything that I saw in the water. It was bad. And then later on, I got the Ruger 1022, increased my firepower. The frogs got even more afraid of me then. Lots of great memories. Bullfrog hunting with Creed, with that little Ithaca. And then my dad in the mid-70s acquired via a trade. I think a guy owed him some money or something and gave him a Winchester 94-22 and 22 Magnum. Beautiful gun. And that had cut walnut stocks on it. I'm talking cut checkering. Unfortunately chambered in 22 Magnum. And I say unfortunately because I had to buy the ammo, and as a poor kid, every time I bought the 22 Mag ammo, I was cursing my dad for getting that gun. It's like, why didn't you get it in 22 long rifle? Or have him pay you and you could have bought it. He's like, man, it was almost free for me, so we took it. Every time I shot that 94-22, however, I dreamed of it being in 22 long rifle so I could shoot it a lot more. It took me 20 years after that date, more or less, to buy my own Winchester 94-22, and this is one of them. I was a captain flying the KC-135 stationed at Fairchild Air Force Base, Spokane, Washington. Just got back from a very long deployment in the desert, where as part of my reading material I took with me the Winchester catalog and drooled over the 94-22, machined out of a solid block of steel. And I had this one in mind. It was limited edition, brown, wind-tough laminate stocks on this 94-22, high polish receiver. When I saw it at White Elephant store on Division Street in Spokane, it was a no-brainer. I bought it immediately, no regrets. This gun is worth probably twice, maybe more, what I paid for it. Maybe 3 times. It's very collectible, discontinued. It will be a competitive option here in 22 lever gun TV, Nutnfancy project, as we talk about this one, the Browning BL22. At this point, I have reviewed the major players in a traditional style 22 lever action. The Winchester 94-22, the Marlin 39A, the Henry 22 lever action rifles, and now circle completing the Browning BL22. The question is, and I have answered it before, but maybe you didn't see those videos, which of all these players would I buy now? Whether you're talking primary market, i.e. a brand new gun, or secondary market used gun, which one would I buy? Because at the time I had not reviewed the BL22, and I promised I would. That day has finally arrived. Insert, by the way, standard discussion as to why I delayed reviewing the BL22, basically for coming up on 10 years, actually. It's because, I don't know, my viewers love centerfire. They don't love 22 rifles, or pistols for that matter. Just look at the view numbers. It's the way it is. I myself love the guns, obviously. So does my family and a lot of my close friends. Jardine, for instance, loves them. He loves this gun, loves all the 22 lever actions and major caliber lever actions. He and I share that like together. Hopefully you're the same way. I imagine you are if you clicked on this video and you're watching it. So we're not all tactical here. I'm very much a fan of traditional rifles, like this BL22. This one has been in the family since a year, I believe 1999 is when I bought this one. This is a plain Jane grade 1, made in Japan, by the way. BL22 with a fair amount of rounds through it from our family, and it has thousands and thousands of more to go in its life cycle. I don't think we'll ever wear it out, nor will the family who acquires it after us wear it out. Grade 1 BL22. Now, when I bought this gun, I was in love with the Browning. I was. And the 94-22, and at that time, the Marlin 39A. All three of them I wanted in my collection to have, to shoot together, to compare them. This was long before the Nutnfancy project, of course. And when I finally got a BL22, I was super stoked. And I tried to enlighten my young children at the time, my two boys, like, hey man, you don't know what this means. This is so cool. And they're like, yawn, don't care. They didn't care. It's like, you don't know what an acquisition this is for us. I didn't go with a grade 2 because I didn't have a lot of money back then. Stretched pretty thin. And honestly, I didn't know if I wanted to go out and spend $1,000 on a grade 2 Browning BL22. Now, if you look at the website of Browning, and I do love how they do this, you can scroll through and see all the discontinued versions of the BL22, the BL17 for that matter, in Mach 2, I think, was a chambering, that have been discontinued, of course. And you can see the types of wood, types of finishes, barrel lengths, barrel styles, engravings that have come out on the BL22 series over the years. Many of which, honestly, are very collectible. It just depends on how many were made, what condition the gun is kept in, of course. But I think a lot of those grade 2 BL22s will hold their value. That's just my gut feeling. You could jump into Gunbroker, surf around, and either verify or debunk that. But it's not an inexpensive 22 lever action, even in a grade 1. It's not. The Browning is a little bit pricey, but honestly, so is the 94-22, or it was when it came out, and especially now. The values that last time I checked on 94-22s are way up there. Like I mentioned, way up there. But when I was a captain and not a lot of money rolling in, dude, I was like, grade 1's good enough for me, dudes. And I still love the looks of this rifle. Grade 2, of course, will have, and maybe higher grades will have engravings on the side of the steel receiver. They'll have different types of wood, although walnut will predominate. Some will have 20 lines per inch cut checkering on the forearm in the pistol grip area. Really good looking guns. This one, of course, and we'll go right into features on this one, has a matte finished barrel. So it's just a kind of a bead blasted black matte on it, which I've always liked. It's just basically matte blue. It's not any type of super rust resistant finish that I know of in this Japanese produced BL22. Matte finished receiver as well. There's a serial number for the Nutnfancy BL22. It does show some wear because, again, we've had this for 18 years at this point, and it has been used. We do tend to use our guns. Let's start up here with the barrel. One thing I love overall on the BL22 is the quality level. It's just, any of these Japanese produced Browning firearms are just excellent. Go reference my modern day lever action on the BLR. So that is in .308 caliber, comes in other calibers. And you can see the gloss stocks on it, the cut checkering, the high polished blue, which will echo that of a grade 2 BL22. But all I have right now on Tabletop, I'll show you an inset somewhere along the way. The other grades is this grade 1. Target crown on a solid steel, in this version, 16 1/4 inch barrel. Solid steel. So it's not going to be like a polymer barrel with a steel insert that we see with some 22 makers. We're talking solid steel all the way through, quality all the way through, standard sight on the front, and you can drift that left and right if you want, or you can drift the rear buckhorn sight if you so desire. This is the brass feeding tube right here, and man, does this have a positive attachment to it. So it's a 360-degree latch on the Browning BL22. It's the best of the entire series. It beats a 94-22. It beats the Henry rifles. It beats any tube-fed rifle that I've seen. It's just super positive. Hear that? How it just clips. 360 degrees, so you don't have to waste time lining anything up. Super excellent. Love that. And then, of course, brass. The capacity on this version is 15 long rifles, a lot more in 22 shorts. lot more. And that will be a good point to insert a quick POU discussion. I think a lever action is an ideal pest control gun. I had hunted with 22 shorts and various guns through the years, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they're pretty good for close range. Past about 25 yards, forget it. I'm going to go 22 long rifle all day long. But it's an option. For close range killing of vermin, totally. But 15 is the capacity. There are other variations that have 20-inch barrels and 24-inch barrels on the BL22 series. And I think currently they're producing a 24-inch octagonal barrel version as well. Grade 2, highly engraved, silver-sided, good-looking rifle, expensive rifle. This has a plastic barrel band on it. Not a big deal. Pretty much every one I have reviewed has a plastic barrel band. Even this 94-22 has one as well. Walnut stocks, like I mentioned. Satin finish, no cut checkering, and that does make me sad. I love cut checkering, dudes. Love it. But this one doesn't have it. You'd have to go to grade 2 for it. Solid steel receiver. And here comes a slight downside of the BL22. And there are a couple. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not just going to say this is the most awesome rifle in the world. After about 18 years, I do have some opinions on the Browning BL22. One of the things I do not like is this distance right here. So it's a very short, stubby receiver, much like that of the Marlin 39A. And yes, I did criticize that one as well. The 94-22 is actually a longer receiver. Now, I'm not going to hold up both rifles, but I'll just do a quick comparison so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, if you're not going to scope the rifle, it doesn't matter that much. Look at, that's probably a good inch, maybe over an inch of receiver length that the 94-22 has over the BL22. And again, that 39A. If you're not going to scope it, it doesn't matter. But as you're seeing in the video, we did scope this, and it was a difficult proposition because the rings are spaced very closely together. It's a 3/8 inch standard 22 groove right there on the top, and at least it's steel and not aluminum or pot metal that will wear off. So you're looking at 18 years of use on that BL22, and it's stood up pretty well. Another good reason to have a steel receiver and not some pot metal painted receiver. What I did, and as you're seeing, is I put 2 rings on it, and I kind of just had the scope bell hanging off over the rear sight. It worked. I mean, it looked a little bit goofy, and it worked. I have tried like BKL offset 22 rings, but it mounted the scope so high that the cheek weld was pretty bad. But it is kind of a minor issue. Maybe a major issue, depending on what you put on there. If you do a red dot sight on your BL22, it would make a lot more sense. You have plenty of receiver space for that. You can put like a hollow sun on there, TRS 25, something affordable. I don't know if that's the best thing for traditional style lever action, but you could do it. And standard old school rear buttstock here, incidentally, with a very slick butt plate on it, just like we see on most of the rifles. The 94-22, that one's the same way, so it needs athletic tape put on it. You could put like, you know, a new butt pad on there, have a gunsmith do it, or you do it, and that's a lot of work to make it look right. Whatever. Trigger on this gun. It's okay. I'm not super in love with the BL22 trigger, to be honest with you. And I'll pull it right here on screen. It's going to pull around 7.5 to 8 pounds. Which to me is, it's too heavy of a pull for this style of rifle. 8 pounds, 5 ounces. So I could probably get that down to 714 if I continued. And then let's just, for the heck of it, once again remind ourselves how awesome the 94-22 trigger is. Non-gunsmith, by the way. So this has not been gunsmith or messed with. It's as it came out of the factory. I think makers of all these style of rifles need to put a really good trigger on them. Because this is kind of a second cool gun. Pride of ownership gun. 4 pounds, 2 ounces on the 94-22. I rest my case. Yeah, so shooting this trigger does not put a smile on my face. I can't lie. It's kind of a pain. I can hit with it, fair enough, yep. And the 33 degrees throw on the BL22 with the integrated trigger cassette in it, which is beneficial, they say, so you don't get a pinch finger like a traditional lever action like this. You come down, the trigger remains in position. If you're not careful, you could pinch yourself. That's what they say. I've really never found that to be the case. Not even back when I was a little kid. I didn't have that problem. My dad just said, hey, this is how you do it. You know, be careful, and I never had a problem. But a lot of people like it with an integrated trigger. That might be one reason why it pulls so strongly, is because it's not a direct action trigger mechanism. What I find on the BL22 operation is that it's not nearly as smooth as a 9422, maybe about the same smoothness as the 39A. The Henry rifles are much smoother and much quicker and easier to shoot than this one. That's just me. I find it actually takes quite a bit of muscle action to flip it. Well, I shouldn't say a lot, but it's not like this rifle, and it's really hard to show you on tabletop, and I'm doing the best I can showing you in inset footage. But look at this, dudes. This is just like glass, this 9422. It's just so smooth. The BL22 for me, and that's all it is for me and my family, is just not that smooth. It's not a showstopper. It's not something, oh, we hate shooting this gun. But if I had both of these guns out when the boys were learning to shoot, they always chose the 9422. Truth dart, just saying, this part is steel right here, not polymer. Got some crinkle finish right here. Browning logo in the bottom of the lever. Not taking it down. It doesn't have a coin disassembly, which I don't know if you can say the 9422 does, but you can just use a screwdriver, maybe a small coin that would fit in there, and you could take the two halves apart. You can do that too with a Browning, but it's just a little bit different. Fore end we talked about, and there's your rear buckhorn sight. Standard affair. I find the iron sights to be barely adequate. You need some high visibility on the front. I never did paint the front sight with fluorescent paint like I often do, because this was wearing a scope forever. There are aperture sights you could put on here, different aftermarkets, maybe one back here, but you would need a taller front sight blade. Something to be fun project, you know, to do if you decide to just go iron sights only. But it's serviceable the way it is. That's pretty much features, dudes. Pretty much. Let's see if I forgot anything. I don't think so. How did this thing shoot? Well, I talked about the trigger already, right? And I don't mean to slam the trigger, but it is what it is. I mean, it's pulling at 8 pounds. It's a little bit of work to get accuracy out of it. Speaking of which, here's the paper. First up, though, I'm going to show you a Remington Fieldmaster at 50 yards. Jardine was helping me shoot this. That's CCI Mini Mags. That's at 50 yards from an old school Remington Fieldmaster. CCI Mini Mags. That crap Winchester M22. That's a great group right there, though. Look at that. And then we go to the BL22. And this is shooting Federal Gold Medal Match, by the way. This box right here. I had it somewhere. It's in my pocket. Hang on. That's not a very good group. CCI shot really good. Gold Medal Match. Nope. CCI shot a lot better. And that's actually pretty good accuracy out of a little lever gun. I was super surprised, though, that I did not get awesome accuracy out of this one. And this is not a sponsored shoot. We just bought all the ammo, of course, out of storage. Gold Medal Match there. BL22 at 50 yards still shooting CCI. Oh, Aguila Subsonics. That's pretty good. Good group there. Not a great group there. Not a great group there. Now, if I was to shoot this 9422 at 50 yards, and I'll look to see if I have a photograph of the targets. I try to keep those in inventory. It would have been better. The 9422 accuracy is amazing. The Henry rifles are extremely accurate. I was very pleased with their accuracy all along. I think they do a great job on their barrels, and I think they're really good lever guns. The first Henry gun I did get, as a reminder, had problems. It was jamming a lot. Then I did a retest, and I tested a carbine large loop Henry H001, and it did great. In fact, I still own that gun. We bought it for the test, and it's a fabulous gun. So how did it shoot? I would say accuracy is good to excellent out of the BL22. Good to excellent. It's not amazing. Good to excellent. Talked about the trigger and the 33-degree lever throw. And that brings us to the question again, which one would I buy? Well, the Marlin 39A for me is out of the question. I shot that gun a lot, and I'll try to find the footage for it and roll it in. I didn't really like the Marlin 39A. It was actually kind of a love affair crushed. I always thought I would, but in shooting it with a short receiver, I wasn't super impressed with the trigger. I thought it needed to be gunsmith. I got rid of it, so that's long gone. I think the Henry rifles are excellent. However, they will not provide the same level of quality and pride of ownership that these two guns will. They're not special. They're kind of user guns, first kind of cool guns. Yes, they do have some really cool versions like the Golden Boy, octagonal barrel versions. They are cool, but it's mostly about looks. They're not like solid brass receivers, high polish, super quality all the way through. They're kind of some price point decisions made from what I know about the Henry rifles, and that shows in their price. If you're going to get a solid block of steel like this Winchester 94-22, look at that freaking bluing again, and machine it in the United States of America, it's going to cost money. Probably these days around $800 to $1,000 for a 22 for just the machining operations. Not to mention a high quality AccuGroove barrel on this one. Actually, not AccuGroove, whatever Winchester's calling it at the time. I think that's Marlin. And this style of stock, it costs money. I mean, good materials, quality, old school craftsmanship costs money. Now, Japan has been the sourcing country for years for the BL22. I think they do a great job. Again, I wish I had a grade 2 to show you because it would be impressive. And it would compete very favorably against this gun at about the same price level. But you know what they look like. But the Henry rifles, in my estimation, from what I've seen, won't provide that same second cool thing. First cool, you bet. Smooth, fast to shoot, fun to shoot. Yep, super accurate. Yes, they are extremely accurate. Totally worth the money. They would be in the running for me. So to answer the question, which one would I buy? I'll go from backwards to front. So at the bottom of the list would probably be, and I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, the Marlin 39A. Right above that would actually be the Browning BL22. What? I thought you loved this gun. I like the gun. I don't love it. The trigger, the 33 degrees throw, the short receiver. I do like the mag tube catch. I love that, but that is not, you know, a huge feature to me. That's going to be second to last, actually. And then right above that will be the Henry 22 lever action rifles, and at the top of the heap will be the 94-22 still. How's that for consistency, dudes? Yeah, I mean, I said that in my 39A review, my Henry rifle review. The Winchester 94-22 is top of my list. Like I said, anybody who shoots a gun, goes out with me, crew members, or whoever wants to buy these guns, the 94-22s, we do own two of them. This is one of them. They're just so smooth, so accurate, and really so old school. You know, I don't need a 33 degree throw on the lever. I want the full throw. I mean, we're shooting a lever action, for crying out loud. Part of that is the fun of actuating it, reliving the Old West, shooting a cowboy style of gun inexpensively. 22 long rifle. Thank heavens I finally scored one in this chamber and not 22 mag. Couple disadvantages, of course, would be the weight, because this is a solid steel and wood gun. This is only 5 pounds, so this is much lighter than the 94-22. But this isn't a gun that I'm going to go backpacking with. This isn't a gun I'm going to go use in a survival situation for me. Could you? Absolutely. I mean, you could take them apart, again, shoot 22 longs, shorts out of it, long rifles. I think there's a lot better options. The Marlin Papoose would come to mind. That would be a superior survival gun. This is a second cool, have fun gun. So I don't care if it's a little bit heavy, and actually, it helps it shoot better. So this, I think, is about 7 pounds as it's configured, with the Burris 22Z rings, the tip-off rings, and a Weaver 4-power scope, and an offset hammer thing right there, so I can cock it underneath the scope. This is my #1 choice still. So my recommendation to you guys would be to get a hold of all 4 of the guns and shoot them if you can. If you have friends that own the 4 lever actions, 22 lever actions that I mentioned, maybe your rank ordering will be different than mine. But I've been shooting, again, like I said, since 1970, and I've had a lot of decades of experience shooting these guns. This is definitely my fave. Doesn't mean I hate the BL22. It doesn't. I mean, it's reliable. I can't remember any time we had a jam or malfunction in that gun, for that matter in this one, that wasn't ammo related. I mean, shooting some cheap promotional ammo, maybe we'll have a failure to cook off occasionally. But there you go. You might like the BL22 a lot more, and especially in a higher grade level, if you can afford it. But I think most people actually go 22 lever gun shopping. They don't see this one on the shelf. They end up buying a Henry rifle. Talking with you guys. TMPer told me the other day, hey dude, I go into your playlists, I press play, I listen to the first video, and then I walk away and just let it roll all the way through, and then I'm watching TMP all day long when I can in my office. To that TMPer, I say thank you for your support, and thanks to TMP Patreon guys. Love it. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. Review complete.
And usually I'll close this when I load it and just put it in half cock.
Okay, half cock, you're safe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just half cock it.
Okay. Pull this guy out.
And then tuck your tube under your arm just like this. Just chicken wing it. That'll hold it. Here, move up a bit. Right about there. You may have to hit high or low. I forget what I zeroed that in.
Okay. It's like delayed too. They're going slow. Yeah.